This is the Big O Show.
All right, we are ready to talk a little Miami Heat basketball. Last night, a nice win against the Blazers, 122-111. They bounced back once again. I believe they're 10-0 now after losses. So they, along with the Milwaukee Bucks, are the only teams in the NBA to not lose back-to-back games. So the question is, which team will be first? Will it be Miami or Milwaukee to lose back-to-back games? David Wilson has the answer to everything. That's why the Herald hired him, to cover everything in sports, because he knows everything. And, of course, if you want to follow the man that knows everything, David Wilson, you got to do what I do. DB Wilson 2. And, of course, catch his work at your doorstep or online at Herald Sports. David, good afternoon, Mr. I Know Everything.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, so David, last night, I got to say, all right, David, I know you're younger than I am. And South Florida fans, I'm not going to say they're the most creative. I'm not going to say they're the Cameron crazies that come up with all kinds of creative stuff over the years. They're probably number one in all of pro sports or college sports, period. But I got to say, we got shooters last night. That had to have been one of the most creative chants ever by a South Florida audience in a sports environment. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, it was pretty great, especially considering the reputation the Heat crowd has sometimes of being, late to arrive, sometimes a little bit more casual. You can see guys are trying to get it going all game long. You kind of hear it like sprouting out. A couple people in the section, and then by the end of the game, it finally caught on, and Hassan was not happy about it after the game.
Well, you, of course, had the assignment of covering the petulant child that is Hassan Whiteside yesterday. So, first of all, walk us through his demeanor after the game, after a loss. Was he just happy about his stats?
He always, I wouldn't say he was happy about his stats, even though, he's, he likes putting up his numbers, and, he obviously it helps the team to a degree. But yeah, he actually, after the game, I think the first question was basically like, did you expect that reception? And he was like, I kind of like basically said like, yeah, he gets the boos, like, guys get booed, but the we got shooters, he kind of went on and on about that. Basically saying he felt like people misinterpreted it, saying that he was saying it more about his team, but it was what it was when he said it. It was pretty clear that the Heat didn't have good shooters last year. I mean, that's just a fact. They have great shooters this year, so he can say it was just about the Blazers, but it's no secret that he was pretty happy about the trade that happened in July.
It's equivalent to Bill Clinton telling us, no, I didn't inhale.
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
You
technically
toke from
true,
joint.
right? But
you toke from the joint, but you didn't inhale. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
How stupid are we here on this one? And with Whiteside, see, the thing about Whiteside is, forget about what we think, dude. Forget about the media. Forget about the fans. It's your teammates, whether your ex-teammates, whether you like it or not. They know it was an insult at them. That's the way they're going to take it when they see that post that you took a shot at them, right? I mean, that's the part I don't think that gets to him. He's more worried about what we think. He should be more worried about what his ex-teammates think.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and Spo was pretty, Spo and the former, some of the former teammates who are still around, pretty clear, like, there is like kind of a charm to Hassan. Like, he's not a bad guy. He,
right.
He can be funny. He, for all the crap he kind of gets is maybe not having a great work ethic. He came a long way from like when he was out of the league, and in a lot of ways he was a major success story here, even if it didn't end well and had its ups and downs. But I mean, he is. Yeah, I mean, you can guys. Even if they're not outwardly saying like they were insulted by Hassan saying we got shooters, I mean, you can just being in that locker room on a daily basis. It's a happy group, and I don't know if they're reveling in the fact that the Blazers are struggling this year. But I mean, they had a massive turnaround, and it all started with the Hassan trade. Not just because it cleared the space for Jimmy Butler and for them to go out and get some of these shooters. Obviously, Myers Leonard is one of the best shooters in the league. He's the guy they got back for him. But it also, Bam is kind of one of the guys who wasn't super outspoken about about his friendship with Hassan. They obviously have a good relationship. They played together for a couple of years, but I mean, he's thriving because Hassan is gone. He's getting the playing time that Hassan was getting, and he is has the role that I think the Heat basically, the biggest reason they shipped out Hassan was because it opened things up for Jimmy Butler, but reason 1B was because they thought Bam was ready to take this step forward.
I'm with you there. Here's Whiteside yesterday.
I don't have any bitterness towards the Heat or anything. Like I said, I grew up, I kind of feel like I became an NBA player here. I feel like I faced the trial and tribulations of the NBA coming here, from ups and downs to the highs to the lows, things like that. I'll never forget.
And listen, what I want to know, David, is how was he after the game when the Heat beat him? The Heat has shooters. The Heat is a much better team than Portland is right now, which is probably something he did not expect. Hell, we didn't expect the Heat to be this good as they are right now. So was he asked about what he thought about the Heat and how good they are now compared to when he was on the team? Was that asked of him?
Yeah, I mean, a big thing he actually mentioned at pregame is, 4 of the usual 5 starters they've been using since Justice has been out. So the lineup that's Nunn, Jimmy, Duncan, Bam, and Myers, he never even played with 4 of those 5 guys, which is, it's a totally different team really than when he was here less than 6 months ago. But he was, he got asked specifically about Bam, and he kind of dodged around the question of did you see this coming for Bam? But he's obviously really impressed with the way he's developed. I think he and Goran have a pretty good relationship from what I can tell. And he's definitely happy to see Goran healthy, and he was the guy who kind of led that victory last night. So he said he Spurs said he still roots for Hassan. Hassan said he still keeps up with the Heat. So I don't know if I think he's happy with what he's doing in Portland, getting the playing time that he always wanted, putting up the number, he's putting up all-star level numbers if you just look at the raw numbers. So really, ultimately, just knowing what I know about Hassan, knowing what he wants, what his goals are to a large extent, it was really a trade that obviously worked out well for the Heat. And I think even if it didn't, the Blazers are struggling, at least worked out well for Hassan, where he gets kind of what he wants.
David Wilson from the Miami Herald covering the Miami Heat yesterday against the Portland Trail Blazers. You can follow him on Twitter at DBWilson2. David, was there any talk amongst you guys in the media that, Hassan, like you just said, was putting up good numbers, and I'm sure Portland's happy about that because they may try to move him by the deadline because they're going to get Nurkic back. And once they get Nurkic back, then they'll have to deal with giving less minutes to Hassan, and that's not going to be a situation they want to be involved in. How much talk of that was going on amongst the media yesterday?
Not much specifically about that, but I think there's a clear feeling, just watching the Blazers in person, there's just a clear feeling that they're about to hit kind of a point where the Heat were last year. They've had more success, obviously, than the last iteration of the Heat had, but they're at a point where they're going to have to make tough decisions, whether it's coaching change or trades, because they have, it sort of feels like hit their ceiling for what this Lillard, CJ McCollum fueled roster can do. Bringing in Hassan was supposed to maybe kind of fuel that, give them a different sort of dimension, different even than what Nurkic brought them. But between the injuries they've had and just the fact that the West is, the West has reshaped where the 2 LA teams are, the clear class of the Western Conference is still good. Oklahoma City has, been a pleasant surprise, and they have all the, they're in position with all the picks they have to shape themselves into a contender potentially soon, given what Sam Presti can typically do on the trade market. And then Dallas is emerging. I mean, it just feels like the time is kind of passed Portland by, which is crazy because they were just in the Western Conference Finals last year. But nothing specifically about whether Hassan will get tipped, but they feel like a team that is going to be active. It's not this trade deadline, then into the offseason if they miss out on the playoffs, and it's headed that way.
Follow him on Twitter at DBWilson2 for the Miami Herald. He does excellent work covering many things because he is all-knowing. That's what it's all about. So what do you think, Mr. All-Knowing? Will the Heat make a move before the trading deadline? What does Mr. All-Knowing David Wilson think?
My gut says no, because the salaries they have, they're first of all, I don't think, I think those young guys are pretty much untouchable. Like,
yes.
Obviously Tyler Hero is untouchable. Kendrick Nunn has played himself into that category. I think Duncan is really valuable. I think Derek Jones is kind of, he would have been maybe the one guy from that young group that was like, maybe you can flip him because he is a free agent this upcoming off season, but he's really kind of carved out his niche and become a little bit of a fan favorite too. And then, the really tradable contracts you have are Deion Waiters and James Johnson, like the guys whose salaries are kind of the ones that are easier to move, the non-max guys and then the non-minimum guys or small contract guys. And those guys are just tough to move. Although James Johnson did get back in the rotation last night. He played really well. Looks like he might honestly have a role moving forward, although Justice coming back could potentially change the rotation again. And he seems like he's getting closer.
And you know what, David? You know what, David? Where I agree with you on there, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but where I agree with you is the Heat just doesn't have enough to trade. Like, if Justice was kicking ass and healthy, that would have been the guy you can move because he's the guy you really don't need. The emergence of Derek Jones Jr. is what allows you to get rid of Justice because Derek plays all kinds of defensive players and offensively actually is better skilled than Justice. So Justice helps you out I love Justice as a glue guy, but he's not going to help you offensively. And because he's been so injury prone, you have lost all value in trying to move him, and you don't have picks. So to me, I don't think the Heat have that opportunity. And like you just started with that statement, the young guys are untouchable. So what are you going to do? Trade those?
Yeah, it's a mix of either veterans underperforming, specifically Deion and James Johnson, or max, untouchable star level guys like Jimmy and Bam, or those guys whose contracts are just so friendly that you'd be foolish to part with them considering the ceiling of a guy like Tyler Hero. So
they're so good.
Right.
I mean,
Justice would be the one guy that makes sense because, he's a little redundant with Jimmy. Because of Bam's emergence as the second star, you're basically waiting on one of Justice or Bam to hit to be that second star, and then you go find a third one. But the injury is complicated things. And then I think, they're always creative. So like, I'm never going to rule anything out. Like I'm shocked they have Jimmy Butler right now, given where we would have been saying this time last year with how their salary cap was all clogged up. But the logical, the smart, easy solution is wait it out. You've got this young group that's going to grow, and then, everyone wants Giannis to come in 2021, and that's theoretically what I think the average franchise would be waiting on. But they're always creative. So I'll never rule anything out. If they go out and get Drew Holiday or something, and with the intention of him being around and figuring out how the salary structure can work to then have a Drew Holiday, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Giannis or some other superstar. Like, I won't rule anything out with this team at this point. But it's just the way their contracts are structured with underachieving vets and really impressive, untouchable young guys. It seems unlikely. Like, the smart money is to not bet on a trade.
I'm with you there. David Wilson does excellent work for the Miami Herald. Follow him on Twitter, DBWilson2. David, as always, thank you for taking some time, man. Always appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
My pleasure, my man. There you go, David Wilson. Happy New Year. I don't know, can I say that on January 6th? I haven't seen him forever.
What I said, dude, if you haven't talked to the guy and, blah, and it's still within a week or so,
I mean, Happy New Year, bro.
okay.
I don't want to be rude, I want to be grateful.
You get in the middle
Grateful
of
he took time to join us, and
get in the middle
he
of the
covered
week.
something important yesterday that was kind of, fun, and it was one of the great chants. Any of you out there that were part of that chant last night at the arena, awesome. I tip my hat that I don't have to you, okay? That is just, we got shooters. That was so great. That was so great. And Lord knows the Heat has shooters, man. That's a good thing. That is a lot of fun to watch, the way that they can shoot the ball. By the way, we ended up going 3-1 in our NFL picks. Okay? I know we didn't win our 14 parlay or whatever the hell, but I still went 3-1 in my picks. Didn't you have about the same record?
Yeah, the New Orleans Saints killed me.
I lost the.
You lost.
No,
the
I won the Tanny. I lost the Tanny kill.
You lost the Tanny kill.
I lost the Tanny kill. That's the one I lost because I won Houston. I won the Eagles game, and I won the Vikings game. Yep, definitely.
Yeah, but I don't think any of us won because the three.
No,
of us
we always
together
leave something
Philly.
out. Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we got a nice giveaway coming on the show, by the way. As you know me, I'm multitasking while we're talking. Yes. All right, we will announce tomorrow. We will have we will do it, man. I like it. I can announce it right now. Okay. We're going to give away a pair of tickets to New Order. Okay. So, there you go. How about that? All right. Okay.
Which night? Because you said there is an acoustic night one night.
Yes. We are going to give out I'm telling my man now.
Oh, you're stipulating
Yes.
the non-acoustic night?
Yeah.
Well, you could also find out for us.
Yeah, we're not going to go to that night.
No.
No. Yeah, but we will go. We will be there.
Maybe, too, if they change up the set. You think they will?
No, dude, they're terrible.
They do the same cookie-cutter crap.
They don't even
Even with you doing an extended 4-day stay like that, you would think they would change it up, right?
Well, they did. Well, they are with an acoustic set, but
that doesn't qualify as a change up to me.
Hey, listen, my favorite band doesn't do it either, and I hate it. Iron Maiden. I love Maiden.
Yeah,
to
but
death.
you know something with
You can
all their stage set and everything choreographed, with all the props they bring out.
Okay.
Man, you know what I mean?
Okay. Can I have the rebuttal now? Are you ready? U2 does the same thing, but then there's a part in their stage show that's just them on stage with just lights. And they changed up on that last tour, because I was there, they changed up 2 of their songs. You might have heard something different during that 4 or 5 song set. That's where they hid that's where they would change up 1 or 2 songs from their tour. Not a lot, only 1 or 2.
But isn't that standard for you too? They usually have.
No, not always.
They usually do a couple.
No, not all.
Change out.
No, I've seen them where they've done the same set. But they do change.
Just a couple songs.
They do change, but what I'm saying is I've seen tours where they have done the same set the next night and all that. But recently, everything's choreographed too. I mean, super choreographed, bro. Their choreographed stuff is, they take it to another level. I've never seen anything like this.
No, when they did that
active
live music video thing that they did the walkthrough.
They did it.
That was amazing.
I'm talking about that. I'm talking exactly about that, because they have 3 stages. They have the stage in the middle that they're in the screen. Then they have the stage on the corner on the front of the arena, and then they have the regular main stage. So when they go back, the one here is already set. The one here is already set. The one back here, that's where they would change.
That's like the night we were at the Forum and they were at that little round top thing.
See, that's why you love The Cure and Pearl Jam. Because The Cure and Pearl Jam, they just have lights. You know? And nothing's choreographed. It's just images, lights, whatever, and doesn't have to really go with everything. And then Robert Smith and company, they play whatever the F they want. Okay? Like I tell people, I remember this like it's yesterday. I went to go see The Cure 2 nights in a row, 54 different songs in 2 nights. I went to go see Pearl Jam at the AAA and at the BB&T Center, 57 different songs in 2 nights.
Supposedly, we're going to get that with Metallica.
Yes.
At Rockville. 2 totally. All different songs.
Pearl Jam did repeat a couple songs, and so did The Cure a couple songs. Metallica's doing 2 completely different sets. I mean, you can do that when you're Metallica, when you're U2, when you're, The Cure and Pearl Jam.
You have to have a plethora of songs.
Yeah, you have so much.
That off.
I mean, it's like when you go see Billy Joel, and he's like, all right, do you want me to play this or this? And he does it like 15 times. And it's because, and then when he's done with the concert, you walk out and go, man, he didn't play this, 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 and this. And it's like because it's Billy freaking Joel.
That's Elton John. Same thing.
Yeah.
I walked out and it was like Philadelphia Freedom. The guy was on stage for 2 hours and 45 minutes. I'm complaining about one song.
Yeah, but that's because when you're that good, man. You can do it. You can play it. U2 change all the time in their tours. They do, but not. I've seen them where they play the same set the next night. I have. I've seen it because I've traveled and I've watched them do tours. Every tour that they come, I see them multiple times. I don't see U2 just once. I see them multiple times. But I do appreciate that in the last tour they did change up. It was either 1 or 2 because I saw them 4 times, and they did change up some. That was cool, and I appreciate that. But nothing like The Cure and Pearl Jam. That's the bomb right there. The only thing that tops that is Dave Matthews and Fish. That you will never see the same concert, period, from those guys. They just go up there and just jam. Apparently, Willie Nelson does that too. Like the Willie Nelson band has to know the catalog because they don't go up with a set list. Did you know that? Willie Nelson doesn't go up with a set list. He just, I'm going to play this. And then they just all join in.
The thing I've heard about Dave Matthews, they'll have a set list idea, and in the middle of the concert, literally on the fly, right there, change it.
Fish does that too. Fish is also one of those bands. They're jam bands. That's what they're called, basically. All right, let's tell you a little bit about Toyota of Hollywood. We love talking about Toyota of Hollywood. Steve Ostrov, Herbie Lopez, all the great guys out there at Toyota of Hollywood, the official #1 volume Toyota dealer. Listen, my mother-in-law has this beautiful Corolla she bought a couple years ago from Herbie. I just got a Camry, all right? Listen, I would never tell you to go buy or lease a vehicle where I wouldn't do it myself. That's why you got to get on down to Toyota of Hollywood, man. And it's easy. 1841 North State Road 7, right there, a couple blocks south of that big, giant, beautiful guitar off the turnpike, folks. Toyota of Hollywood. All right, we promised you time to talk a little fantasy basketball. We do it every Monday at this time. Andy Behrens from Yahoo Fantasy is always ready to join us here on the program. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on two-a-day. I thought this might be too great, at least a local holiday to involve fantasy basketball.
Well, it was 2 hours ago, so we kind of were able to get through. See, the beauty of what we're doing now is In regular radio, dude, I would have to be repeating this and talking about it over and over again. Whereas now we just talk about it, we give our thoughts, boom, boom, boom. It's over. We move on to the next subject. We podcast it, and if they want to hear it, they can go to the podcast. And we just move on to the next subject and the next subject and the next subject. So it's kind of refreshing, this format, because I don't have to repeat it. Somebody wants to hear it, well, you know that it's podcasted. Go get the podcast. Plus, our guys, they individualize all these things. Like your segment, you know it. Your segment gets podcasted, separately. So that way, the guy that just wants to hear about fantasy football or basketball that we're doing with you, that's it. He doesn't have to hear the whole show if he doesn't want to. You know what I mean? Or she doesn't want to. So that's.
Oh, I gotcha. Exciting day though, all around.
Yes, it is, and not shocked that he's actually leaving. It's actually the smart thing to do, right?
Oh, no question about it. I mean, he's still, as long as the hit checks out, and we have no reason to think it won't. I mean, he's just a guaranteed top, I don't know, 3, top 5 talent in the draft. Guys might have to deal up to get him.
I'm with you. All right, so today, a lot of people have to set their lineups. They have to make some moves, things like that. We are now getting closer now to the NBA trading deadline. So let's start talking about some of these guys that we need to plan ahead. Like last night, I made a move for Christian Wood. He was still available in my league, and I'm kind of, looking to what's going on in Detroit, and it looks like they're about to blow this thing up and try to get rid of some guys. And if they do and able to get rid of Blake or Drummond, Christian Wood is one of those guys. What do you think?
Oh, there's no question about it. In fact, his was the name that I was sort of saving for. At the end, if you ask me to give you just one guy who I think should be stashed almost everywhere, his Yahoo ownership percentage right now is still in the 20s. Christian Wood could help decide your league title, assuming he falls into serious minutes. I just want to read his per 36-minute production so far this season. This is per 36. He's not getting 36 minutes a game. He's only getting like 15, 16 minutes a night. If he got 36 at his current rates, it would be 20.5 points per game, over a block and a half per game, almost 11 rebounds per game, almost a full steal per game, and he's knocking down threes at a 38% clip as well. So he's giving you more than a 3 per game. He's 6'10". He's just a natural substitute for, we got multiple things in play in Detroit. We have a probable Blake Griffin shutdown at some point. I mean, he barely plays as it is. At some point, they're just going to say it's a smart thing to do is not only tank, but if we're ever going to get anything out of this guy, like if he's going to have more seasons going forward that look a little bit like last year, the year before, we got to get him right. And we can't ask him to play through pain in a lost season. So we got a Blake Griffin shutdown that's likely. We have an Andre Drummond trade that's likely. Drummond, of course, is scoring 17 a game and getting almost 16 rebounds a game. So those are stats that have to go somewhere. Christian Wood is the strongest candidate for it. In my mind, he's the most obvious stash in our game. And again, somebody who could listen. He's not going to deliver like first round value as soon as he starts seeing 30 minutes a game. But it's going to be good. He's going to deliver like maybe round 3, round 4 value if he comes at all close to his per minute production. He's just been wonderful over multiple seasons for multiple teams on a per minute basis. It sure looks like he's finally going to come into serious playing time in the final 2 or 3 months of this season.
Andy, a guy I had to give up on, but maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I had some injuries, so I had to make some moves because this guy was he was good for me the first 2 years, especially last year. But this year they acquired Anthony Davis, and Kuzma was just not getting those opportunities, not enough to even be a starter for you overall. Now the Lakers are finally open to maybe seeking trade offers for Kuzma. Is this the time to buy low or grab Kuzma if somehow or another he's still available in your league? What do you do with Kyle Kuzma? Because we really don't know where he's going to land, but you would figure that wherever he does land, it ends up with playing time.
Well, there's no question that wherever he lands, the playing time is going to be there for him. I don't want to oversell him necessarily because what we've seen from Kuzma so far, And you look at last year as an example, because he's never going to have as wide open a playing field as he had last year. And he can certainly score, right? It was almost 19 a game last year. Shot a pretty good percentage from the floor. He's not shooting quite as well this year. Didn't shoot particularly well from three, but it's tolerable. But he was really threes and points. There's not a lot of defensive goodies here. He was only at about a half a steal a game and about a half a block per game. There's not a ton of assists here, just a little bit over 2 last year, I want to say. He's not even averaging an assist per game right now. And the rebounding totals are nothing special. So he's a guy that we're interested in for points and threes. I can't believe some of the rumors that have popped up today. I mean, just in the last hour or so, I'm seeing these. I believe it's Mark Stein that has this report about a possible deal to the Kings that would involve Bogdanovic on the other side, who is just flat out a better player and a more versatile player. And I think might be a year closer to restricted free agency, and I'm sure that's the deal because Kuzma is not making a ton of money right now. So I'm sure that's part of it. But Bogdanovic is just simply a much better player and would be an incredible get to the Lakers. Like that's just a clear and obvious upgrade, at least in the current season and certainly into next season. Kuzma is a guy who, the acquiring team has to really project something for him beyond what he's delivered to this point because he's a good scorer. If you're in a points league, I'd be all about it because I could easily see him landing with a team where he can average, 22, 23 points per game, especially if he falls to a team that plays at the right pace. That could be really exciting. But he's still really just a two-category guy. So in category leagues, I'm not as interested.
All right. Are you a Sekou Doumbouya fan?
It's hard not to be. That's an interesting name that you brought up. I just added him in the Yahoo Friends and Family League. He'd been just a wonderful developmental league player, and he's come right in and performed. These early games have been pretty good. He can hit threes, so you're going to get some help from distance. It's only been 2 games, but he's averaging double-digit points. He's averaging double-digit rebounds. And getting a steal and a half per game, it sure looks like he's going to be a guy who could block some shots. If he's really going to knock down like a couple threes a game, I'm plenty interested. We already talked about the fact that the Pistons have not only opportunity available right now, but they're going to have incredible opportunity available later in the season. That's the whole appeal to Christian Wood, right? Is that we know that Drummond probably goes away, and at some point Blake Griffin gets shut down, and Doumbouya is gonna benefit from the same scenario. So sure, if he sticks around and he keeps performing as he has in his first couple games, he's gonna be really good.
What do you tell folks about DeAnthony Melton?
Yeah, you've kind of found all the best stashes because he's another one that I wouldn't quite put where Christian Wood is, but DeAnthony Melton has been a monster, not in exactly the same way that Wood has, but on a per minute basis, he's just been terrific, and he's kind of an across the board guy. Like he's going to pile up steals, he's going to have a bunch of double digit point games. That's also a team that is playing kind of sneaky fast too. So there's just a bunch of stats available there. I'm pretty interested in him. Not just as a guy who can score a little bit, but a guy who can get you rebounds, who can get you defensive goodies, who's not going to turn the ball over a ton, and is shooting a good percentage from the floor as well. I think over 50% from the floor right now. He's been really good. He's been one of the more obvious per minute, very positive stashes that there is in fantasy basketball, and he's also a guy who's available in about 80% of Yahoo leagues right now.
How about Jordan McRae? Where do you see him?
Yeah, if you haven't added him by now, I would say that in competitive leagues he's probably gone. I picked him up in one of I think it's the charity league that I play, and the scoring just keeps coming. Like the scoring is just clearly going to be there. And one of the fun things about the Wizards, I feel like we've been talking about them. We talk about a different Wizard almost every week. One of the fun things about that team is that they're top 5 in the NBA in pace. So they get up and down the floor. There's a ton of opportunity there with a bunch of players injured right now. And McRae, every second that he's on the floor is looking to get shots up. So like You don't always like that in real life, but we sure like it in fantasy. So I'm pretty excited about him. I think the points are definitely going to be there anytime the minutes are there, and I think he's really played his way into a nice situation. So, if he told me that he was going to average something like 16 and 5 and 4 going forward, yeah, I would totally buy that. He's clearly impressed Scott Brooks. I think if he's still available in your league, your league is probably a little shallow.
Yes.
But he's definitely somebody of interest.
How about Jarrett Culver with the Timberwolves?
I wish I could convince myself that his shooting was going to be there. Like it's not, to my eye, it's not always a pretty shot. He's not, he's also a guy who's going to come into a lot of potential shot attempts because that team pretty quickly, like especially if they don't get Towns back relatively soon, they're going to have to think about packing it in and playing for draft position essentially. I think he's a fun across the board player. So if you're in a points league, it's a little easier to take him, but it's also not going to surprise me if he averages like 37, 38% from the floor for the season. When you own him on a good shooting night, and I think he had a pretty good shooting night on Sunday, it feels a lot better because again, he's a guy who's going to routinely deliver 4 to 6 assists, 4 to 6 rebounds, and he can get himself to double-digit points, and he'll get you a steal or two. But again, I just worry about the shooting percentages. So a little bit better in points leagues than in categories for me.
Follow him on Twitter at Andy Behrens, and you can catch his work there at Yahoo Fantasy. Andy, is there something I might have overlooked, a nugget you want to share with folks out there?
Yeah, another guy I'm pretty interested in is we've talked about him in prior weeks. Derek Jones Jr. has looked really good. Troy Brown has looked really, really good. And the final name we need to bring up is Maxi Kleber, who has just been sensational with Porzingis out. He's basically delivered like 90%.
So he's more of a streaming guy right now, right?
Yeah. So if Porzingis can't go tonight against Chicago, Kleber looks really good.
Okay, there you go. What are you guys doing on Yahoo Fantasy if folks want to get a little edge on their competition in a little basketball?
Yeah, we got the Fantasy Hoops podcast coming up this Thursday and every Thursday for the rest of the season. That's with my good friend Dalton Del Don. Dalton is also going to have a couple of fantasy clips that come out on Wednesday, one of which is a pickups video. So please check it out.
There you go. And on Twitter, you can follow him at Andy Behrens. Andy, you're an absolute stud, my brother. Thank you.
Thanks, Big O. Good luck, people.
You got it, baby. Be good. The great Andy Behrens, a little fantasy basketball. Where else are you going to get that? Huh? Not going to get anywhere locally. You're not going to be able to get a 4-hour show that talks about anything and everything going on. I have not given my picks in a couple days. I have not been prepared. Today, I'm going to give you some picks in the NBA. All right? Let's start off with the slate today. Orlando, the Magic, are home against Brooklyn. This will be quick. Right now, Orlando is favored by 5 against Brooklyn. It's hard for me to trust either one right now. I think Orlando's going to win this game. Brooklyn's a little banged up. Orlando's actually playing better basketball right now. I really want to lay the 5 points here, but instead, I'm going to go over 212 in this game. Between Orlando and Brooklyn. So over 212, Orlando, Brooklyn. Charlotte and Indiana, the Hornets are hosting the Pacers. The Pacers are favored by 5. The over and under is 208.5. I am not a Charlotte fan. They just don't play good enough defense. Indiana, on the other hand, Indiana is one of these teams that I just think they have one of the coaches of the year. Okay, they are overcoming the loss of their best player. They are developing other players like Sabonis, who's playing his ass off. I'm going to go Indiana -5 on the road versus Charlotte. All right, Boston favored by 8.5 against Washington. Washington is an absolutely terrible team. I got to take Boston -8.5 on the road in Washington. Oklahoma City against Philadelphia. Sixers haven't been playing as well lately, but they don't play well on the road. They are home, but they're giving up 7 points. Oklahoma City's been kind of gritty. Not a great team, but they are gritty. I'm going to kind of stay away from this one. That's a lot of points for Philly. They should win. The 7 points might be a little too much. They get bored with themselves. Did you see Josh Richardson said it the other day? We just don't play hard every night. And he's kind of used to the culture he came from, so I think it kind of has set an impression on him. Denver is at Atlanta. The Nuggets are favored by 7.5 at Atlanta. The over and under is 222.5. There is no way I'm taking Atlanta. They are a terrible basketball team. John Collins is out. So I'm going to go Denver -7 here on the road. Why? Because Atlanta is just terrible, dude. They are. They're just a bad basketball team. I can't even say they're well coached, okay, at this point. So I'm going to take, 7.5, -7.5 for Denver at Atlanta. Utah is at New Orleans. Utah favored by 3 at the Pelicans. Fly, Pelican, fly. Utah's been a little up and down. I haven't been as impressed with Utah's consistency. I'm going to stay away from this game. The over and under is 221. That's a lot of points. I don't know if New Orleans can stay with it. Milwaukee is at San Antonio. Bucks are favored by 7 on the road in San Antonio. The over and under is 228. This is kind of one of these trap games because San Antonio sucks defensively, but they're home, and once in a while they'll give you a pretty decent – this team here is giving you a pretty decent effort at home sometimes. I can see them making it interesting and staying within the 7, but I'm going to stay away from this game. I'm not laying the 7. I'm not taking it. Stay away, Milwaukee, San Antonio. Chicago is at Dallas. Dallas favored by 9.5 points here. They're playing really good basketball. Chicago's terrible on the road. The over and under is 217. I'm actually going to take the over here in Chicago versus Dallas, and I'm going to go with the over 217 because I don't think either team is going to play really good defense here. So I like a lot of points here. Chicago's actually been scoring some points lately. Golden State, terrible basketball team at Sacramento. Sacramento's not great, but they're favored by 10.5 points. How am I going to do that? I don't have that kind of confidence in Sacramento. To lay 10.5 points? Rashawn Holmes and the boys are gonna beat them by 11. They could, because Golden State's really, really bad, but that's a game I'm staying away from. Over, Brooklyn, Orlando, 212. I'm going -5, Indiana versus Charlotte. I'm going Boston -8.5 at Washington. I'm taking Denver -7.5. And Denver, by the way, is visiting Atlanta. And I'm going with the over 217, Chicago and Dallas. Those are my selections today in the NBA. There you go. You like any of those? No?
You know where I stand.
You hate basketball, betting basketball. So
you can't. Exactly. Thank you. It's about betting, man.
No, I know that. I know it's.
You're going to steal your money, but it's just like walking.
Well, you don't like any of them? You're not putting any money? I am.
Just hand them the money.
You don't like any of them?
Thank you.
You don't like any of them? No? Okay.
Not really, no.
All right.
They're too good with that.
Okay. We're going to make a big charge tonight. We're going to have a big night tonight in the NBA. Okay? And remember to like our broadcast there while you're watching. Appreciate it. Pass it on. Share the link to folks. Have them subscribe. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers ASAP so we can give you better live coverage. We're going to need it in the next week and a half here. Next week, actually. Yeah, can we get the 220 that we need left in less than 6 days? Come on, let's do it. We got to have it before the East-West Shrine. So spread the word. All right? Anyway, remember you can get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the program, the other way to reach out to us is on Twitter. That's at Big O Show. Follow us there. As always, we got to thank several folks, as always, Bill and John Cassio. Excellent work by them, always helping us out. Many people to put all of this together every single day. So we thank you for downloading. We thank you for supporting. We thank you by the way. More importantly, also for our sponsors that help us put it all together, and make sure you support our sponsors. Tell them that we sent you. All of this helps, folks, so we can grow more and more. I've got some more plans that we can expand, so let's rock it. We can only do it together, baby, and we can give you the kind of sports talk that you want every single day coming out of South Florida. Be good out there. We love you for supporting us. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, same bat channel. Have a great one.
Have a good one, guys.